Thanks for coming to this talk. It's going to be, I think, a really good one. My name is Bob Howard, and I'm working this talk and representing three different groups that have come together to make this happen. There's the Annapolis Royal Historic Gardens, where we are. There's also the Champagne Garden Club, and then there's the Atlantic Rhododendron and Horticultural Society, who've combined together to make this invitation. And this talk is being recorded and will be on the Atlantic Rhododendron and Horticultural Society website that you can put in later. And Kristian gave a very good talk on Tuesday night about breeding rhododendrons, and that talk is also recorded on that website. The speaker today is Kristian Theqvist from Finland. He's the president of the Finnish Rhododendron Society, a world-class breeder, a very engaged gardener who knows how to do real work, and he's going to show you a garden that he's been working on for a little over 20 years.
Thank you, Bob. Yeah. So thank you for inviting me here to talk. It's a pleasure to give talks to. Even if a group here is small, it's even more important that you are here. And I'm 72 years old, and I feel very young because I'm working very hard year-round in my garden. That gives me strength both physically and otherwise also. So this presentation is now on my Rhodogarden. I have a website called www.rhodogarden.com, and I have that Rhodogarden since 2001, that website. And there are thousands of photos, a lot of information that you can, and most of the stuff on that site is in English. There are also something in Finnish and some even in Swedish, but most is in English. Okay, what happened now? Okay, let's see where Finland is. Finland is one of the northernmost countries in Europe and situated between latitudes 60 to 70 north. And this corresponds in Canada from south of Nunavut to Cambridge Bay on Victoria Island. So we are pretty north. But still, we have a very good climate to grow rhododendrons. And that point on the screen, that shows where my garden is in Finland. I think I can try to get my cursor on this screen so it's easier to show. Yeah, okay. And as an introduction, I would say that an arboretum, as its best, is not only a collection of trees and shrubs. You can find such arboretums that are only trees and shrubs, but nothing else, not much. And the arboretum is made more clear by designing its architecture and paths from the very start. If you first plant and then try to get paths along, it's more difficult. And different structures such as ponds and gazebos make the arboretum interesting for both its owner and potential visitors. Now I had to remind me that I don't accept any visitors. So that is its potential. Okay. Some structures such as fences and gates may even be very necessary. Okay, but let's first look at where it all started and what followed. I got an inspiration in mid-1980s when I walked with my wife on the shores and in the forest of the island of Korpo to find a place for our summer home. And we were very amazed to find in the forest a huge rhododendron full of flowers. It was a very old Catabiense grandiflorum, more than 100 years old. And there were no houses, nothing else, no other plants, only forest, close to a shore on that island. And my grandmother, who lived on that island, he told that who had planted it, that rhododendron. It was a woman who had born in 1878. And I got an inspiration. This is something that I would like to have. And we searched for a place in this kind of surroundings. What island we would like to have our summer home? And we found a place in this area, and this was very special area for me because my oldest known ancestor, Hans Alfredsson, was born in 1540 on this island, and in the same village my grandparents had their home. So this has been my very close home for a long time. And we found a place, and these are now pictures how it looked on that property. We loved right away on these kind of sceneries. There was also we could also get to a sea through a canal to a bay, and that was nice to have. And there were also quite large rocks. Very nice, very good. So the location actually here is now the island. Here is now that Korpo Island is here, and it's about 10 kilometers, a little bit more than 6 miles wide, and it has only 850 inhabitants. But during the summer, there are of course a lot of summer guests, summer houses, a lot. Yeah, it's not easy to get to that island because you need 2 ferries, and it takes from a mainland it takes 2 hours to get to that island. So that limits also the visitors. Location, native plants. I don't go too much into detail this one, except one thing that water is flowing from rocks and neighboring marshes, and the most common plant on this area is a rhododendron. It's Rhododendron tomentosum. pH of the soil was perfect, 5.5, and otherwise also this was really good place. That's the Rhododendron tomentosum, lepidote. My first rhododendron. That was a start of a dream, but very humble start. A miserable Catabiense grandiflorum that I got from a 50% autumn sales in 1999. And I thought of sacrificing a small area of a forest for my dream to make a rhododendron garden. And my wife was really suspicious on what I'm doing, planning now, and she gave my blessing to plant a rhodo or 2, and if you for some odd reason get them stay alive, plant next year a couple of more. that was what she thought. Okay, next year I bought 20, 30, and following year 50, and then 100, and then 200. Now I have so many that I don't know how many thousand rhododendrons I have. I have on my database. I think I have some 13 to 1500 rhododendrons, but so I don't know where all those are. They are written in the database where I should have them. Okay, 20 years after that, I had a blooming forest garden, and it was a paradise, and it was my dreams filled. And I have planted more than 1,000 rhododendrons and azaleas, and are named cultivars. 100 are species and 600 of my own crosses. But in addition to that, I have a lot of else that I have not calculated here. They are from my own breeding, and I have thousands of plants that are growing plant boxes and plant fields. And I think I click that one to show you. This is now the oldest part of a garden. And this is now the azaleas on this area. I like also very much rhododendron species, real species. And in 2005, I established a new garden area for rhododendron species. It was on a warm rock slope, and I have written in some of the plants, but I say that nowadays, almost all major of the plants are grown now in local water beds, where I have a rocky slope where the soil is only 5 to 10 centimeters, and almost nothing but moss is growing on that. But I put the log or peat blocks on the lower side of the slope, and then I put a plastic, only 10 centimeters thick, high plastic, and then soil on that. And rhododendrons, when I put soil on that here, and rhododendrons thrive well without irrigation year round. I have planted one rhododendron even in the top of a cliff, and I rarely remember that I have it there. But I see it when it flowers, full of flowers. I see it. Hey, wait a minute, I have a rhododendron on top of the cliff. Okay, here are some of the names. I don't have time to show these, but this gives you an impression of what kind of species I have growing here in wait a minute, I forgot. I lost my mouse. Now I have it. So for this kind, I love especially the leaves of this Taliensia subsection rhododendrons. I have almost all Taliensia subsection rhododendrons, and they thrive very well in my garden where the winter temperatures are go only to minus 26 degrees C. There are only 2 or 3 rhododendrons in that subsection that are too tender. And here are some more. I think I can show you this one here. This is now a spiroblastum, the same that today we discussed about this one. This is now a species that have really strong scent fragrance of honey. You can feel this even 50, 75 meters away from this plant when the sun is shining on that. I have written also an article on this, that which plants have this honey scent. This is not the only one. And this one has very nice bluish leaves. This is also in the Taliensia subsection, Clementinae. But because I didn't come here to talk about rhododendrons, so let's move on. Okay, now, of course, next slide is about rhododendrons. Anyhow, but in 2014, I felled tens of trees from a slope leading to the bay. And there are now about 150 rhododendrons and azaleas and more to come. This is now mainly hybrid rhododendrons, not species. And I started with rhododendrons, but pretty soon I got interested in other plants, and I wanted to have almost any plant that was hardy enough. Of course, I bought also a lot of plants that were not hardy, tender ones. They died, but they gave space to other plants. And pretty soon also, I begged permission from my wife to buy more land for our arboretum. Actually, it was my arboretum, not our arboretum. And when I needed to name the name of that extra land that we could buy, she suggested that the name of that land it must be wasteland. I said, no way, it's not wasteland. It's now something else. It's Dendro Valley is the name now. Dendro Valley. And the total area now, it's written here 3.6 hectares, but actually I have now this year bought a little bit more, so it's now 4 hectares. When you have this size of an area, you need to have a map. Otherwise, you can get lost. You don't know where your plants are. And I'm using a mapping system. It's this system that I'm using, this QGIS. It's a free and open source geographic information system. It can be used for mapping almost anything, including gardens, arboretums, also other things. It's not very user-friendly interface, and I had time to struggle to learn it, but after you learn it, it's very easy. So that's now a map of all of paths and what I have on the arboretum. I dug ditches, made roads and paths, and felled trees on that property. Here you can see the what kind of the soil looked here. It was too moist, too much water, so I had to dug a lot of ditches to make it drier. But the soil actually it's a very good peat, 30 to 40 centimeters deep, and under that it's very poor clay. And I made roads, and as you can see from that picture, there are a lot of deers have used that. Of course, they started to use what I made a good road for them, and I didn't like that. And also moose. There are also moose have been going on that. So a motor chainsaw is my most important tool when I cut trees down. And the second, and this is now another tool that I must have. Without that, it would be very difficult to get the logs out. And this is handy also to transfer large plants. If I quite often I move large rhododendrons higher than me and with a very large roots, and that's handy to that. Ponds. I would say that arboretum without ponds or other water features is not an arboretum. You must have ponds. And I started to dig ponds. That was my first pond. Yeah. But later on, my good neighbor, a farmer, helped me to make more ponds. And here is one of those. This pond was too close to the sea, and I tried to plant trees here around this one here, but in autumn time the seawater level rose above that it covered all the land here, and all the trees died. That was a hard lesson for me. So you need to also to know the conditions all year round. So this here is my third pond. That was also my neighbor farmer made that pond for me. And this is a picture of it during winter time. I made this pond heart-shaped, and it had a small island, and also I made a Japanese-style bridge to that pond. And in this picture, how it looks now during summertime. Okay, now in 2020, I made in my scale, it was the large, it's 25-meter long and 50-meter wide. I first designed it during winter. It was 35 meters wide and 25 meters long and 20 meters wide. But my wife said, no, it's too large. And I thought that maybe she's right this time. So I made it smaller. But during winter time, I checked that there's a ditch going through that property, and it was very funny that the water from one point of that ditch, it flowed in two different directions. So that was the highest point. The water came from the cliffs surrounding that area, and then it started to flow in two directions. Both ditches went to sea. The water goes to the sea. So I thought that this is very good. I made an experiment making those dams to see if it's possible to keep water on that area. And I used two men, one digging soil. It was about this 2 meter deep. And when I have, because it's clay, I put some fabric on it, and on top of that very clean sand. So and the water is coming. I can get the cursor here. Water is coming from ditches now here, and I have then a pipe under the fabric going to a pond, and the overflow water is then going bypass is going from here. So I have a control of the level of the water level, and why does it, okay. So this is now when the water level had risen to the level that it should be. And that one, that's I planted right away about 77 rhododendrons on that side of the pond, and made also a gazebo with that one. I think I have pictures later on that one. And there's ice during winter. I could skate on that, but my wife doesn't allow me to skate. Deer, oh dear. Oh dear, yeah. Moose and deer, they made a lot of damage to young plants, but in 2009 I installed a deer fence around the arboretum with the help from our son, and you can see the fence in this picture more easily. It's about a little bit more than 2 meter high fence, and that's enough. But I have now also put a yellow tape and or strings on top that animals can see it. Otherwise, they run right against the fence. And this is now from this summer, this picture. In beginning of June, a deer came from an open gate to a property. I didn't notice it, but when my surveillance cameras took photos of it, my neighbor said that, hey, wait a minute, that's pregnant. She's pregnant. And 1 week later, it had given birth. And that's very bad now. I can't get them out. Yesterday, even yesterday morning, the surveillance camera gave me an alarm and I saw it was still there. I must now get hunters to shoot them both. They can't stay the winter, because on winter they have nothing other eat than my trees, and I can't allow that. Even if I will let the gates open, they don't get out. Because they think this is a paradise for them. They have all my plants. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Gates. If you have fenced everything, you need to get in and out, of course. And I think I have at least 5 gates now. That's the main gate that I designed and subcontracted to get, so that this is a gate that I had left open so that the deer came in. And this is in the back side of our arboretum, and it's going to, there is another way to go drive along that cliff road and there are smaller gates. And even some that I have made myself. And in the garden, I have this kind of gates. There is some lonicera. I don't know what is the name in English, but it's a lonicera. Honeysuckle, yeah, that's right. Yes. Yeah. Okay, growing plants. I have over 400 taxa planted in the arboretum and some 100 taxa in pots growing and waiting to be planted in addition to rhododendrons. So rhododendrons are my passion. I have those a lot, but I have also a lot of other things. And I have get plants from Arboretum Mustila, the largest and most famous arboretum in Finland, and also from nurseries around Europe. And I also grow plants from seed that I collect or buy. And I'm a little bit desperate. I have hundreds of pots growing different kind of plants. Here. And sure, I have also an irrigation system to water them. This is how it looked when I made this one here. Now that portion is a jungle of 2 3-meter high plants growing that close to each other. Imagine how it's to get out from there now. Really difficult. It's not impossible. I have done it, but you need to go with hand and take the roots out and see where the roots are going, and then you can get bit by bit to get one plant from that. When they are very large plants, it takes an hour or two to get even one plant out. Not good. But that's when you are alone and trying to do too much. Here's an example now. I had taken this many years ago, this picture already, but I have plants growing in large pot and in large bags. And now we are 3, 4, 5-meter high plants. It's a jungle. And quite rare plants even in that jungle. But so this is now a lesson. Don't do like I have done. Wait a minute, I try to get to the next slide now. Okay, here are some example of trees and shrubs that I have, which I like. For example, maple, palmatum, atropurpurea. This has really good autumn color. It's very hardy one. In the summer, it's dark red color. And if you don't have it here, you should have it here. This is one of the best. Also, in a very old maple is this garnet. Very good one. It's a low growing, but excellent foliage and very good autumn colors. And this is a funny picture of 2 plants together. It's an Aruncus dioicoides. I don't know the English names, but it's a berberis, orange trockitis is berberis. And this is how I move plants. I have now a little bit better ways to move plants, but that was when I didn't have my ATV and so I had that that maple I had grown out from a plant where there were a lot of other plants also. A small picture of one part of the arboretum where are Prunus macchi. You may know the English names. I don't know. I talk only Latin. And when I was in 2008 in Montreal for the garden, some crab apples fell in my pocket. And I have now several very nice plants. I can't call them Indian summer, but it's ex-Indian summer. Here are some, let me take timing now. Yeah, I have good time. Used in my arboretum. Here, this is now mainly rhododendrons in that area. That plant on the right, it's a cross made by Peter Theqvist in Finland. This is the Japanese I had built, and now I have a lot of, almost a jungle now in that area. It's better that I'm silent now. You can see the pictures that I have taken in the arboretum. 4 pictures. All paths are now such that I can drive with my ATV. That's as important. If you only have to use your wheelbarrow, it doesn't work. I tried that for 10 years. But when I got older, I think that no, this is not the way to do it. This is now the newest planting area where I have nice flowering trees, mainly from malus. It's apples and then prunes. Mainly with nice leaves or good flowering. So, but I'm planting a lot more on this area, and I think it's after some years it's going to be nice. Now it's not good looking yet. Okay, now database and labels. To have a record of everything is really important. You must document everything that you have got. I have for every plant that I have also an accession number. And I try to get my cursor here. So there's the accession number, then the genus, species, hybrid, or cross, and then there's the origin of the seeds of a plant, the date when I have sown it or got cutting or planted it, and then how many I have them, and where I have them, and then there are comments. So, and it's very easy to find. if someone asks, do you have that plant or not? I don't know. I need to look at the database. Hey, wait a minute, I have it there. I can go and find it. And I think this gets even worse when I get older. But I need to have a database. For the labels, I have found these labels the cheapest and most durable that I can find. I have aluminum base, and then I use an Brother PT 2700 or something like that. I don't remember the number now, but it's a Brother printer that you can print the label. It's on plastic, and Bruce Clyburn here in Cape Breton, he told about me about this, and he has used this for 15 years. And I have used it already also. Yeah, I have now also used it for 15 years. And the labels are still very good, like new. Really good. And pretty easy to make. You can get it from a computer to a printer and print it. And on each label, I have a name and also a Finnish name, and the accession code, and what is the source. Of course, I have labeled only a small portion of what I have, and that's a problem. I have too much. I try to make every year 100 to 200 more labels, but okay, here we go back to this mapping software to document location of plants. And this is now a test map of a mapping of the oldest part of my garden. And I don't know if I can make this larger, this picture. Yeah, you can see here. I have different color for Elepidotes than for Lepidotes, and also azaleas, but on this picture I don't have azaleas. And it's pretty easy to, once you have made the basis for that mapping, it's very easy to put the location here using our GPS or measure it where you have a plant and then put it on that map. I have made the basis now for this one here. I couldn't find any ready-made for garden or arboretum purposes. I wish there would be available. Maybe there are now, I don't know. I know that Arboretum Muistila in Finland, they have started to use for very large arboretum now. This was same software that I use. But you can use this even for a small garden. There are no limits, and it's free. Irrigation. I have about 240 micro sprinklers. They are called Netafim. It's in a company in Israel who produces fish. And they sprinkle. I use sprinklers that give 40 liters per hour, and I arranged that to 10 or 11 areas, and each area has its own timer. And I set the irrigation time to 30 to 60 minutes twice a week, for example. And I have total length of pipes more than 1 kilometer now. And even 20-year-old nozzles have been outside year round, and they are still functioning. I don't need to take them out. I need to take only the timer inside, and also the filter Okay, I try to get to here. The water comes from here. Whereas I have a ball valve here. There's a mesh filter here to filter, because the water that I have, it has a lot of iron in it. And I don't want that iron to clog up those sprinklers. And when I have here a timer, and water goes here to the sprinklers. And here it goes to the next plant field. This is, I have used this for, I have used now about 20 years, a little more than 20 years already. And no problems. It's very good, really good. And here you can see in this picture how it looks, sprinkling water to the plants. There are, at least in Finland, there are several nurseries who use this same system. And in Israel, of course, they are used all over. They are using this to water the desert. Wooden causeways. I started to build wooden causeways because I didn't want to walk on that land. I wanted to keep natural vegetation without going on those. And of course, it's much easier to pull a wheelbarrow in those that are on the dirt. And I made this kind of plan. This is in Swedish, because I gave this to the farmer, my neighbor farmer, that please make these planks for me. And then after that, it was my hard work. And this is a picture of what I got. Unfortunately, even I put tar on these. They lasted only 12 years, and then they get rotten. And I didn't like that when my boot goes through that plank or wheelbarrow goes through it. So I needed something else. I started to use impregnated wood to make wider and more also safer to walk. So this means I was thinking that sometimes I need a rollator or in wheelchair, and still I want to go to roll. So I have now done like that. Wait a minute, it didn't come up. Yeah, and to make curves like that. Of course, you need to prune those azaleas and rhododendrons at least every second year, because otherwise they fill up and you can't go. But they are easy to prune. That's not a problem. You can easily make that. And I'm happy to have those. Now I could get this one here. Okay, next slide. Now I need to speed up a little bit. Log gazebos. In 1991, I built a log gazebo on top of a hill. And when I built that gazebo that you can see on the left top side, I soon noticed that I built it on a place that it's very difficult to get to that place. there were no paths on top of a hill. And so I made those stairs. And there's also a platform, so you can enable great views into the garden, different parts of a garden. And in 5 years ago, I built a self-designed garden gazebo with our son on the edge of a cliff. And to make that's 6 meter high ladders. I had safety harness with me, so because I was a little bit afraid to make the roof on that, but I like this very much. I have made myself with chainsaw also those benches. And here is in was this already last year? I made a year ago. It seems that it's much longer. But I made this gazebo on the shore of a pond, and the base for that gazebo. And here I'm making some text messages here while making the roof. And my wife chose the furniture, of course, for that gazebo. What's time? Yeah. Logwood benches and chairs, and these are really important places to rest and let thoughts flow, especially when you get old. Sometimes you need to sit down. In an arboretum, it's not good if you don't have benches. I noticed that here there are benches here, but not as nice as I have. Okay, here are I have made these myself using a very simple chainsaw. And also it's easy to make this kind of small places to sit on. And here is a picture of that where I had that pond with an island. On that I have made also this impregnated walkway, so that you can, otherwise all the plants would take over here, and there are also places that you can sit on. Bridges. I'm now pretty close to end. I love arch bridges. I have made several of those, and it's very easy to make arch bridges. This is the main principle, that you take a plank and then you saw it. There are also other ways, but this is what I have done, and I have done pretty many. This is one example. Of course, the challenge was to get this on the shore. When you make it here, and this bridge is 7 meters long. I made first an island. I have carried all the sand to that island, and afterwards my wife said, wait a minute, something is lacking. You need to have a bridge. I had not been thinking of that. I wanted only on Sand Island, but I had to make a bridge for her, so she doesn't need to swim to that island. And the Japanese style bridge that I designed and made, it's this one. Oh, what happened now? Okay. I'm very close to finish now. Decorations and funny things. I love to play around a little bit. And I like these small things. They are funny. Some say that those do not belong to an arboretum. I said that's nonsense. Sure, you can have also some fun. For example, now Arboretum Mustila, they have now in the last 5 years, they have introduced a lot of chainsaw sculptures into Arboretum, and it's now much better than before. More people come in to look at the art. Of this is not art, but you can have art. I saw also here some art, and that's good. You can have some small things, hidden treasures. And here I got that lady from Germany, bought it from Germany, and then later on I sent an email to the shop where I bought it, and I wanted to get to know where has this lady been born, or girl. They said in China. But anyhow, I love it. And then this is my start to make my first sculpture with my chainsaw. That's my chainsaw here. And when I draw something that I think it would be good look like, and then I used some smaller tools to get this one here. And now I have myself in the garden. That's me. Yeah, and I'm now working on the next one. I don't know if it's going to be my wife or someone else. Thank you. It was only 2 minutes past